It's been over 30 years since we got a Lego set revolving around the Wolfpack Faction. But I've got good news in this video. That ends today with the release of the Outlaw Forest Den by the Bricklink Designer Program. If you're a Castle fan or a Wolfpack fan, you're going to want to stick around for this one. So back in 1992, we got our first two Wolfpack sets with the larger Wolfpack Tower coming in right around $30 retail. That came complete with 3 minifigures. We got a gray parrot, some nice stonework on the build itself, and then of course this nice glowing ghost. We also got the smaller Wolfpack Renegades that same year for about $8, and even though it was smaller, it still packed a punch in my opinion. 1993 was the last year we saw a full Wolfpack release set, and it was this ghostly hideout set priced right around $4.25. Not gonna lie, wish we were still seeing some of those prices. We got another minifigure in this set, but bigger than that, again, you're gonna notice that we got another gray parrot and another glowing ghost, and we definitely are going to be talking more about this parrot and ghost. But since 1993, no more Lego Wolfpack sets have been released. We did see a minifigure Wolfpack teaser, in a sense, in the medieval town square, which, by the way, is actually going to be retiring here very soon. So if you haven't got your hands on that set, make sure you go look at that. But then we also got another Wolfpack teaser coming in the 2025 Series 27 line of CMFs with the Beastmaster, which everyone was hysterically grabbing off the shelves and you could barely find it. So let's start by taking a look at the amazing 10 minifigures that we get in this set. First off, we get 2 Lion Knights minifigures. They are good minifigures. They do have the same torso and leg printing that we saw from the Lion Knight minifigures that came in the Lion Knights castle. And then we get 8 different Wolfpack minifigures to kind of fill out our full Outlaw Forest Den. And all of the minifigures do have the same printed torso that we saw from the medieval town square. However, there are kind of almost like 3 different sets of these Wolfpack minifigures. We get 3 in like this dual molded black with like brown boots. We get another dual molded set of legs with like the gray pants and then like some black boots. And then we get 2 minifigures that kind of have more of like a single molded blue kind of colored leg with some printing on the front. So they are all very similar, but at the same point in time, they're very unique. Now, the thing that I really like that the design team did on this is they did make each minifigure kind of have its own unique look and feel to it. So you can see each minifigure gets kind of a different looking headpiece, different facial expressions, different hairpiece, different weapons. We do get a total of 5 shields for the actual minifigures themselves, and then we do get an actual 6th shield on the actual Outlaw Forest Den build itself. So we've got a little bit of everything in these 8 minifigures, which I think is awesome because it really fills out this Outlaw Forest Den very nicely. Now, to complement our 8 Wolfpack minifigures, we do get 2 actual wolves. These are the same wolves that we saw with that CMF 27 Beastmaster minifigure, but these wolves look amazing. They're single molded. They've got some really great printing on the face, so I'm a big fan of this wolf mold, and we actually get 2 in this set, which is really awesome to see. Now, to jump into the actual builds of this set was designed by Brickhammer out of Germany. It's going to come with 2,617 pieces for a $230 USD price tag, and we will get more into the value later on in this video. We're going to get the 10 minifigures as we've already talked about, and then we're going to get 1 full sticker sheet. There's not a lot of stickers here, but I do actually like the ones that we get. We really get some good ones here of the actual Wolfpack logo, which I really like. Now, going back to those Lion Knight minifigures, the first build that is going to get put together is this wagon. Now, you might recognize it. It looks very similar to the Wolfpack Renegade set that I showed you from 1992. It's got that same blue siding, but they did update it a little bit here, so we get the nice horse on the front, obviously a good spot for our driver. We get a couple things on the side like a lamp and then a weapon there. But then on the top, I really like it. We get a couple barrels, we get some hay, we get kind of this decoy chest that has nothing in it. But then just like that Wolfpack Renegade set from 1992, we can lift the top up. It actually swings up, and then underneath we have the actual treasure. We can take the chest out, we can put some gold in there, and that is going to be what the Lion Knights are actually trying to hide from these Wolfpack Outlaws. Now you get one other horse with this. You kind of do some brick building for the saddle, and then it comes with a nice shield on the side printed, and then also a flag on the other side. But then also just to note on the horse side, you can actually take out, they did include a 1x2 brick with a tile on top, so you can slip those into the center area to kind of fill out the horse if you don't want to have the saddle or if you don't want to use the horse for the actual carriage itself. So that was a nice little starter build, but then we actually get into the Outlaw Forest Den. Kind of starting at the bottom, you build this really nice base. You're going to note here that you've got kind of this one section that does swing out here, and you'll see later on in the build that that's actually going to give you access to the inside, which is some nice forethought. But we get a little bit of greenery, we get some grays for sand, we get some water over here, so we get a little bit of everything as far as the actual base itself. And then we start building out the actual den. And this has a really unique look to it with the stonework, etc., because it's kind of like this abandoned fortress feel, and I think that just is really cool. It feels good, and it definitely goes along with like those Wolfpack Outlaws and kind of something that you think that they would take over and kind of make their own. So down at the bottom here, first you get kind of like this little recreational area. So you have like these fish hanging up over here. You have a little campfire that they can cook the fish on. While they're waiting, they have like this target. It's printed, actually sitting over here on like this wooden palisade fencing, which I thought was a really cool addition. And then obviously to the left here, what you're going to see is kind of a staple throughout this whole set. Lots of treasure. We have gold coins, we have jewels, we have gold cups, we have chests with gold, so just a lot of gold. And then I'll note just kind of around the base here and kind of going up the whole build, there's a lot of really nice greenery and just kind of landscaping. So we have some mushrooms, we have trees, we have some animals in the trees. We got a little squirrel up there, we've got an apple kind of coming off the tree. Now as we kind of move around, you're going to see kind of like this stonework, this stairwell kind of going up as you lead up into the actual tower itself. The stonework was done really well. I really like how they put the stairways together and kind of have like this jagged stone look. But then also we have a couple small kind of secret entrances and easier accesses into the actual build itself. So the first thing you'll note is this kind of wall section here can actually come completely out. First thing you see when you look right in there is just tons of treasure, crowns, coins, just all this gold that the outlaws have plundered. But then we also have this section right here to the left, which I really like the mechanism of. So you can actually slide it over and the rock work just kind of slides over but stays attached. Then you can actually swing this entire back section out, and now you have full access into the first and second floors. Looking inside this first floor, we've got some barrels for some drinks. We've got a couple really nice, I like these like tree trunk stools here right next to the table, and then on the table you have some drinks, some cheese. I also really liked, it's a stickered piece, but this kind of card sticker that just basically kind of shows the guys being able to play some cards while they're kind of just relaxing downstairs. We also have another little fire area. No light brick, unfortunately, but a fire area here. We can see a couple things hung up around the fire area. And then over on the side here, we have like an armory, essentially. So we have a bunch of helmets, probably plundered off of previous battles. And then one other thing I forgot to mention, we do have a really nice wanted poster. Again, it's a sticker. Now, going back up to that stairwell we were talking about, the first thing I'll mention is there's a little bit of a trap that the Wolfpack set, or maybe this was set previously when the castle was under the Lion Knights rule, essentially. But either way, if you pull this little side brick out here, this left corner brick, it'll actually drop the entire bridge out, and that basically takes full access away from anybody they don't want in the castle or any invaders. So that is a fun little extra function. But then if you do actually make it through the bridge, or if you're one of the outlaws, you can actually make your way up the stairs. You can see to the left there, you've got a small barrel with some weapons and a drumstick, and then you also have a bone just sitting in there, so that's interesting. But you can make your way up into the second floor of the actual outlaw den. And then on this second floor here, we actually have a bedroom. I'm assuming that's probably going to be for the guy that's in charge. And then actually, if you look right above that, right inside the attic space that you have, they did add the nice addition of a little rat with some cheese, so that is fun. And then the other side of the second floor here, we actually get another mechanism. So this is actually to raise the gate. So on the outside outside of the wall, you can actually lift this little bar right here, and that is going to unlock the gate and allow you to actually pull the gate all the way up. And the gate itself as well, just to note on that, I really like the look of that as well. It's all tiled off. It looks very clean. It looks very medieval-ish, so if that's a word. Really like that side of it. And then we go up to the actual tower itself. Now, the cool thing about the tower here is that the full tower can actually lift off, not only to give you access into the first and second floors easier, but it also just gives you an easier access into the actual tower itself. And then if you look here, there is a stairway and a kind of an opening at the bottom of this tower to kind of lead into it, but you can also pull off the entire back as one large piece, and now you have full view and access into the tower itself. So very cool there. Inside the tower, you can see more gold inside there. We have a stickered map here showing all the different realms, and we can see kind of like this path with the red X. I really like some of the arrow slit windows on the outsides, and then we also just kind of get some more closed windows as well, which is nice. It's kind of changes it up a little bit. We get those big stickered logos that I talked about earlier of the Wolfpack. We get the big banner on the corner and then a smaller banner up top there. And then moving up to the top, you have an actual place to put a lookout guard. So you can actually swing this door open, so it's very well thought out. You can put your lookout guard up here. He's got a little flag with a weapon, some more hay, a lamp. We've got a little bird up there. Now, unfortunately, this is where maybe a couple of the drawbacks come in for me. So it would have been amazing to get one of those little gray parrots. That is a staple with the Wolfpack theme. Maybe that piece is not available. This is not an actual like a Lego official set. This is a Bricklink Designer Program set, so they kind of have to just use what's available. And then the other thing that I really wish they would have added was the ghost. So we actually just got the ghost in that Creator 3-in-1 mansion. It would have been very nice, probably a little bit expensive, but very nice to add that to the set to give you again that same feel from those earlier sets, because we did get 2 ghosts in those previous sets. Outside of really those 2 things though, I can't really complain all too much. I thought the build was amazing. It was super fun to put together. Just all kinds of little things that you bump into along the way. The minifigures are amazing. You get the cart, so you kind of get the feel and the nostalgia from the 1992, 1993 Wolfpack set. So all in all, build experience was epic. So looking at display and play on this set is going to display really well. I love the look of this set. I've already said it, but I love the colors. I love the reds, the greens, the grays. They all come together really nicely, especially with the texture of the stonework to make this really good looking abandoned fortress. Another big benefit here is the size. It's not super big, so it's not going to take up tons of space, but it's also not so small to where it kind of fades into all the other Lego sets. And just for comparison, I'll show you what this looks like next to the Dungeons and Dragons set. I would show you this next to the Lion Knight's castle, but I've still got it in a box. I still have to build it, and I'm supposed to be reviewing it hopefully this year. And as far as play on this, again, you also have a lot of functions with this. So you have the opening gate, you have the bridge that falls down with the mechanism there. You've got the different walls that come out and the different openings that can be opened up to get inside and to interact with the set. I think this set is very strong when it comes to display and play. Now, does it perform just as well when it comes to overall value? The price per piece on this set is going to be just below the 9-cent price per piece range, which is pretty good. It's underneath the 10-cent range. If we look at all the other Bricklink Designer Program sets in this Series 6, all of them are going to come in that 8-cent range. But if we compare this specifically to like the Art Factory, that's exactly $230, also has 10 minifigures, just like this Outlaw Forest Den, we can see that this is actually just a little bit better on price per piece than even the Art Factory, which is really nice. Not to mention, and I've said this in a lot of videos in the past about the Bricklink Designer Program, I love all the builds and I love all the sets, but I've always just kind of wanted more specialized minifigures, less generic like city minifigures, and they've definitely started to ramp that up and do more of that in sets that we've seen here in the past. And specifically with this one, we're not getting anything generic. We're getting 2 really good Lion Knight minifigures, and we're getting 8 really specific Wolfpack minifigures where each one is kind of done in a specific way like we talked about and kind of made their own. So there's just a lot of great minifigures, a lot of value packed into this. If we also talk like wolves and horses and the wagon and the full build, I feel like we got a good value on this. Now, is it the best value we've ever seen? No. I'm not going to say it's just a knock it out of the park value, but I would say it's a very solid value for a really good set that falls like in that castle realm, and obviously, you know, with the Wolfpack faction. So good, solid value on this set, in my opinion. And then the last thing we're going to look at here is, of course, the community vote. And I put out 2 separate polls on YouTube, with the first one pretty much asking what I normally ask: do you like the Outlaw Forest Den, or do you not like the Outlaw Forest Den? And looking at the numbers, it's pretty self-explanatory. Almost 84% as of this recording saying that they like this set. So I think pretty overwhelmingly people like the look of this set and like what this set has to offer. The second poll I put out, though, I asked which of the 5 sets do people think will be the most popular and will sell the most copies. Again, it looks pretty clear that most people think that the Outlaw Forest Den is going to be the most popular set and is going to sell the most copies, with almost 50% of you all saying the Outlaw Forest Den for this poll. Obviously, I'm a big fan of the Bricklink Designer Program, but I think I'm with everybody that the Outlaw Forest Den is definitely the most popular and is probably going to sell the most. So after looking at everything, here is where we fall on all the different categories, and that is going to put the final grade on this set at 84 out of 100. It's going to fall into the consider buying this set category, just shy of the must buy, just 2 points away from must buy. It is an amazing set. It really could fall in either category depending on the type of person. If you're a Castle fan or if you're a Wolfpack fan, this is probably going to fall into the must buy category for you, especially considering it's been over 30 years since we had one. If you're just kind of a casual fan, I think it definitely falls into the consider buying this set, depending on if you like Castle and that kind of stuff. But either way, very cool set in my opinion. Now, just to give you the details real quick on this set, as well as the other sets that are going to be available for Bricklink Series 6, they are all going to be available October 6th at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So make sure you know your time zone, but it's going to be 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time is when these will go live on October 6th. They are all going to have an availability of 30,000 copies as normal. Obviously, we have to get them to at least 3,000 pre-orders for them to actually even go into production, and then obviously within 3 to 6 months they'll actually ship. But we need at least 3,000 copies if that set is going to go into production. Now, the other thing just to remind you of that they did last series that they're going to do again this series is if one set is selling a lot less and one set is selling a lot more copies, they're actually going to allocate some of those copies from the set that's selling less to the set that's selling more. So if one of the sets is only selling 5,000 copies, they're going to take some of that 30,000 allocation for that lower selling set, and they're going to give some of that allocation to maybe like the Outlaw Forest Den or one of the other higher selling sets. So that'll make it more widely available, and also so that it doesn't sell out super quickly. Now, will it sell out super quick? I don't know. So I would recommend, if you want the Outlaw Forest Den or one of the other ones, get your orders in as quick as you can. If you're going to get 1 copy, 2 copies, or whatever it's going to be, that way you know that you've secured your copy in case something like that does happen. There's less chance of that now that they've made some of these tweaks, which I think are good, but there's still always that possibility. So October 6th, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Get ready for the reintroduction of the Wolfpack faction. A lot of other cool sets as well. Thanks for watching as always, and I will catch you in the next one.